Yeah, so I hate to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's a lot of haters that be watching this, and a lot of people are melting down about the reciprocal tax tariff, excuse me, on other countries that have been, putting a tariff on us for decades, and we've been getting ripped off. You guys saw the list. Apparently, Donald Trump has come out and said that countries are calling and begging. Now we saw Canada. I'll show you the video maybe a little after this. Canada came out and said that they're willing to drop all the tariffs. They don't want no more. So apparently this seems to be working. And many Americans are melting down. They say that this is the worst thing possible. And there's so much proof out there that many senators and many different people in Congress or that have been in the Senate for over 40 plus years used to want to do this, but apparently they never did. And Donald Trump is doing it. So now they're against it. And Donald Trump just made the announcement that other countries are calling and panicking. They're calling the White House. This is his words. They're calling the White House. They want no more tariffs, please. We'll do everything you want. Is that exactly what the art of the deal is? Well, let's see. Let's try it out.
And those tariffs have come in, and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said no. Now they'll do anything for us. But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
But are you open to deals with these countries if they're calling you?
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff? The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation.
So these tariffs are leverage that Trump is building, leverage that the United States has not had in a very long time. And he has dropped, again, reciprocal tariffs on other countries. And now he's basically saying that he could use that leverage for TikTok when it comes to China. And he's saying that they're calling the White House. They're calling the White House, and America's going to be rich. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. The stock market and the economy is not looking good as of right now. There was an overreaction, a huge sell-off, but who is selling? And who is basically the big time holders that ended up selling? Well, listen, I saw this and I wanted to show you guys this again because I think it's very important. This is one of the best arguments I've ever seen for what tariffs are. And this Batia, I think that's her name, Batia, this woman in the middle, she Carrie Lake right there. You see Cenk, of course, Piers Morgan show. And she starts to break down exactly what this all means. And she is a far leftist. Like she's been a leftist. She's a liberal. And the way she explains this, I think, is so unbelievably amazing. Take a listen.
What I find so frustrating about the conversation around tariffs is that we all agree on the problem. We all agree that the deindustrialization of America led to the downward mobility of the American working class, deaths of despair, people working multiple jobs and not being able to afford the American dream. We all agree that it is deeply unfair for the American middle class to be bearing the burden of unfair tariffs from other countries. We all agree that it is great for the president to have leverage in order to demand reasonable things like that country stop allowing fentanyl to murder 100,000 Americans every year and that Mexico do its part to police its own border. And yet when somebody has the courage to show up and say to Wall Street, screw you, I am waging war. I am waging class warfare on behalf of the American working class. And you elites in Wall Street, you do what you need to do because I'm not going to stop fighting for the American working class. Suddenly,
of course, Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks is shaking his head at this. Of course, he doesn't agree with what she's saying.
Everybody is sitting around going, oh no, the stock market. Yeah, the stock market looks like that because the rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class over them. We have already seen these tariffs work, Pierce. The number of people crossing the southern border is at 0. Fentanyl is at record lows for the last 10 years. We have already seen $1.2 trillion in manufacturing invested in this country since January 21st. So they have already worked. Now, how long is Wall Street going to keep trying to punish this president for standing the American working class? I don't know, but I can tell you that the view from the street is people cannot believe that there is a president who is working for them, who is putting them first and telling Wall Street to go screw itself. Wall Street, which picked the Democrats for the last 3 election cycles in a row. That's what the real story is here.
I think you guys got to show that to your liberal friends. Anybody melting down about what's happening right now? I think this video is so key because she keys in on something that's actually unbelievably important here that a lot of people are missing when it comes to Wall Street. Yeah, Wall Street is trying to short. They're trying to put in a short. They're betting against the American market, the American people, the middle class. Take a listen.
Let's be clear about what we're seeing right now. This market sell-off is Wall Street trying to short President Trump's agenda. They are betting against the American worker. It's utterly despicable. Instead of doing what President Trump is doing, which is saying we're going to invest heavily in our middle class. We are no longer going to be a country in which our economy is an upward funnel of wealth from the hardest working Americans into the pockets of the international global elites. Wall Street is trying to control the president's agenda with this totally anti-American sell-off. And I think it's unbelievable that the president is not caving and that he is standing strong with the agenda that he promised the American people. This is what he was given a mandate to do. And it is so exciting to see somebody actually make good on the promises they made to the American people.
Bro, this woman is very passionate. You guys got to check her out, man. Batya Ungar Sargon. Man, go check her out. This is her name. This is her X account. Man, she is so good at this, at explaining this. Very passionate, by the way. But you know what's even crazier about this is Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Guys, this was a videotape from 1996. The hypocrites of today that melt down and say that this is the worst thing that Trump has ever done, that he did so bad by doing this, even though they're now calling the White House and now all the chips are falling back on America's lap. Maybe the next 4 to 5, 10 years are going to benefit the American people more than ever, right? We're in debt like never before. Maybe we can cut that down, trillions of dollars. Here's Nancy Pelosi out of California, 1996, speaking of the reciprocal tariff plan. This is crazy. I'm going to show a little bit of it just to show you how crazy this is.
I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of you each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%.
Oh, so it wasn't fair back then. You were calling it out, right? Chuck Schumer is on camera doing the same thing, right? Like Elon had posted Chuck Schumer doing the same thing. This was America's plan the whole time. It's really not that hard. They wanted this to happen. This is Chuck Schumer back in the day when he looked a little younger. This is 1996 as well.
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law. But let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment.
This is everything they're against today. It's so wild to see the change in our politics, especially with the Democrats that are still, by the way, in Congress and in the Senate, or at least involved in our politics like never before. But again, Donald Trump makes the announcement. It's starting. Trump reveals that every country has been calling up the White House after his tariff announcement. This is the art of the deal. Is it something that we should believe in? Is it something that we should think about mostly this way? Or are you saying that this is the worst possible thing? I mean, look, I'm hearing everybody's argument. I really am. But I think there's something deeper happening here that in the long run can definitely benefit America. In the long run, maybe not. But I believe it could. And I think that this is something that, again, by the proof, Democrats wanted this a long time ago. And all of a sudden, they're all against it like never before. Something weird is happening in the world of politics. But again, I just think it's TDS. Let me know what you guys think about Trump's tariff plans. Let me know what you think about everything that has been uncovered. Now they're calling the White House. What's next?